You ever notice those little design tricks that just physically stop you from making a mistake? Well, that has a name. It's called Poka-Yoke, and it's this brilliant, simple idea of mistake-proofing that is, believe it or not, all around us. Today, we're going to get into the art of the clever fix.
All right, let's just dive right in by looking at some things you've probably seen 1,000 times. What you might think is just a random design choice is often a totally genius piece of engineering, designed to make failure pretty much impossible. I mean, of course, right? We've all been there. You're trying to jam it in, it's not fitting, and then you have that aha moment where you realize it's upside down or backward. But did you ever stop and think about why it only fits one way?
Well, that tiny little trimmed corner on your SIM card, that's Poka-Yoke, the specific shape of an old floppy disk, or the fact that you literally can't take your car key out unless the car is in park. Even the way a 3-pin plug is designed, none of these are accidents. They are all perfect examples of the core idea, designing the mistake out of the system right from the get-go.
Now, these little fixes are super convenient for us every day, but when you scale this up to an industrial level, they become absolutely critical. And to really get why, we have to look at the staggering amount of money that's on the line when you allow mistakes to happen.
So get this. According to the quality expert Philip B. Crosby, a company can lose anywhere from 20 to 35% of its income just to systems that let things go wrong. I mean, think about that. Up to a third of a company's revenue can just vanish into thin air because of scrap, rework, and fixing things that weren't done right the first time. It's a huge deal.
And this really points to a massive shift in thinking. For, decades, quality control was all about inspection, about having someone at the end of the line trying to find the mistakes. But the real game changer is prevention. It's designing the process so that those mistakes can't even happen. You see the difference, right? One is totally reactive and super expensive. The other is proactive and the only real path to what they call zero defects. So, the big question is, how do we actually build that prevention right into the process itself? Well, this is where the hero of our story comes in.
Meet Shigeo Shingo. He was an industrial engineer and one of the key minds behind the legendary Toyota production system. And he had this incredible insight. He saw that, look, people are human. We're going to make mistakes. But he believed the system itself could be designed to catch those mistakes before they ever turned into actual defects.
So he formalized this whole idea into what we now know as Poka-Yoke. It's a Japanese term, and it literally means mistake-proofing. At its core, it's any little mechanism in any process that helps a person avoid an error, either by making the wrong action impossible or by immediately screaming, hey, something's not right here, if it happens.
And here's a fantastic little tidbit. The original name was actually Poka-Yoke, which basically translates to foolproofing. But Shingo and his team changed it because they felt it was disrespectful. The philosophy isn't about blaming a worker for being a fool. It's about respecting them enough to design a better process that sets them up for success. I think that's a really important distinction.
Shingo even broke it down into 3 main types. The first is the contact method, which uses physical attributes, like a peg that only lets a part fit in one specific orientation. Then there's the fixed value method, which is basically a counter, making sure the right number of things happen. Think of a parts kit that has exactly 4 bolts for a part that needs 4 bolts. No more, no less. And finally, the motion step method, which makes sure you do things in the right order.
Okay, now this is what I find really fascinating. Poka-Yoke isn't just about a bunch of clever little tricks. These simple, almost elegant solutions, they're usually the final result of some really deep advanced analysis. A lot of these Poka-Yoke ideas come out of frameworks like the PDCA cycle. That stands for plan, do, check, act. You can think of it like the scientific method, but for business processes. You plan a fix for a problem, you do a small-scale test, you check the results, and then you act to implement it for real. That clever little Poka-Yoke device is very often the act that comes at the end of all that rigorous work.
And we can get even more specific than that. You can really think of Poka-Yoke as a direct outcome of a process called FMEA, or Failure Mode and Effect Analysis. And this is a core analytical tool that engineers use to look at a process and ask one simple, powerful question. What could possibly go wrong here?
See, FMA is all about trying to predict the future, about anticipating failure before it happens. A team will sit down and brainstorm every single potential way a process could fail. Then, and this is the key part, they identify actions to stop it. And more often than not, the smartest, most effective action they can take is to design a Poka-Yoke.
This connects directly to the famous Six Sigma methodology, DMAIC. That's another structured problem-solving approach. After you've defined your problem, measured it, and analyzed the root cause, you finally get to the I for improve. And this is exactly where Poka-Yoke shines. It's often that simple, clever fix that makes the improvement stick and mistake-proofs the process for good.
So let's kind of wrap this all up. What's the really big idea here? What's the ultimate takeaway? It really boils down to a fundamental change in how we think about quality and how we solve problems.
This quote from Shigeo Shingo himself just says it all. Errors are inevitable, but defects can be prevented. Humans are going to make mistakes. It's just a fact. We're not perfect. But a well-designed system can catch that human error and prevent it from ever becoming a defect that a customer sees. That's the whole philosophy in a nutshell.
Shingo even came up with a formula for this. He said that when you combine Poka-Yoke techniques with what he called source inspection, which just means checking for problems right where they might happen, you achieve something called zero quality control. Now that sounds weird, right? But it doesn't mean you have no quality. It means the exact opposite. It means you've built quality so deeply into the process itself that you don't need a huge team of inspectors at the end of the line anymore.
And that really brings us to the final thought. This way of thinking isn't just for car factories or giant assembly lines. Take a look around your own work, your own life, your desk, your kitchen, even your digital files. Where do those little frustrating errors keep popping up over and over again? And what simple, clever fix could you design to make that mistake totally impossible?